Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is Ticker Request Live. I try to do this every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And, sometimes I miss it though if there is a holiday on Monday like there was last week for President's Day. But yeah, just wanted to go over a couple charts before I get into requests. What's up, Saul? How's it going? I see you there. Happy Sunday. And yeah, a couple things that I wanted to start off with. I actually, I was going to open up with this on Celsius. Big move here. But I actually wanted to mention a little bit more about Unity Software. These are two stocks that I have covered recently, and I have included them in the highly regarded options theses. I was definitely too early with them, but definitely had a nice move here with this. I was really anxious around earnings, but I did that recent video. Let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see. This one here, Wolfspeed and Celsius. I did kind of a comparison between the two, and I believe Wolfspeed did come down and Celsius went up. So I think I was right with that, but actually let's just pull up Wolfspeed here real quick. Yep. So, it came down 8.5%. I put out that video 3 days ago. I believe it was one of these 2 days I put it out. And I think it was on the 19th. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, this did pull back. And it is lower than when it closed on the 19th. So I feel pretty good about that. It does look like it got rescued by the 50-day moving average there at $6.66. We'll see what happens. I think that this white line maybe could just be shifted up and over the little white doodle there. But anyways, it seems that I was right about this, but maybe it consolidates and then goes higher. So it's not really much lower than it was when I made that video. And then also, yeah, Celsius. I put out a video over the weekend. I'm just sorry, got to try to go over stuff that I put out. So this is on Unity and Celsius. I feel like that there's a lot of gamma squeeze potential with both of them. Just going to scroll this up so you can see that. It's only gotten 16 views. At this point, Celsius up 27.77% on Friday. Unity Software went up on Thursday over 30%. So, both like the moves already played out. But just like the data I go over in this, as well as with Celsius Max Pain, really it's applicable for both stocks. I'm just looking at the Celsius data there. Only 10 views, only 16 views. Max Pain data is free to access. And, it's something to consider when stock prices do go up a lot. If they close a lot higher, could result in a gamma squeeze, but with the panic in the market on Friday, I could see both of these pulling back. So I'm a little bit skeptical, and I did want to point out that with Unity, I did draw this downtrend that I went over. I'm not going to get into where it originates from, but the high on Friday was at a price of $30.88, really just getting up to that downtrend. And so, what I have drawn here with the doodle is that, maybe it is still bullish, maybe it is going to continue higher, but maybe it consolidates for the next couple weeks. Before it breaks out, forms a bull flag. And so I have some option positions, some shares. I'm more heavy in options. I'm kind of learning them. And so what I'm realizing with this, if this does play out or if it does pull back, that's really just going to kill theta. And so that's just going to bring the premium in those contracts down if it just consolidates or pulls back. So that's just something to consider. I do think that Unity will be going higher, but it could at this point be pulling back to, 23. I've got this alert here. But I think that this is going to go higher. I think it just looks really good. And I have to note before I switch over to the other screen on the web browser, here, this is February 13th, an important day. The closing price on that day was $20.74. And from that level, we're up over 30% to the close from Friday. Over 36%. They're up $7.6. And yeah, that was following this dip down to below 20, hitting a low of 1906. And I put out this video. Let's see where it is. Unity Software is in the dip, and that came out 10 days ago. I checked to make sure which date it was. It was on the 13th. So when I put out that video, 36% potential there, and yeah, only got 92 views. So it's kind of unfortunate. I feel like one of the things that I'm recognizing is whenever I'm like spot on with the video, nobody watches it. And whenever it's like there's a lot of hype, people watch it and then it's like 50-50. I feel like probably maybe 60-40. I'm more likely to be wrong than right. Another one, Hycroft Mining, topping at $3. And so that one looks like, I think I also put that out on the 13th. And if we look over at that chart, the 13th, the high was 305. And we are, since being up there, let's just get this data range tool. We're down over 20%. So, I think that was a pretty good video as well. Only 35 views though. So that's unfortunate. Also, I did want to mention natural gas. I had put out a video. Let's see if I can pull that one up. I'm not sure when. I think I put it out more recently than the Unity one. Oh, yeah, this one. Natural gas is about to make some widows. Put it out 6 days ago, and I think that I put it out, let's see, not over here. This is Hycroft. I think I put that video out when the price was getting up to here. So I was wrong initially, but it does look like in the futures trading of natural gas, we did gap down some. We'll see. I feel like I could be finding some support at around like 360 over here. And so, I am looking for just a 20% swing on cold, ticker symbol KOLD, which is 2x leveraged short natural gas. And so I think I'll be able to exit that tomorrow. I'm excited to take some profits on it. I also wanted to point out, I'm just going to zoom out, take a little step back. I did put this survey out this morning. Are you more interested in a Hycroft or American Airlines video or something else? 10 votes and I'll do it. I ended up doing some work around the house and the yard and whatnot and went for a run today. And so I didn't have time for it, but this only got 8 votes with the majority on something else. So, ticker request live, perfect for that. Nobody voted for American Airlines. But one thing that I'll probably try to do more is do polls like this, so make sure you participate in them. I felt like I was a little ambitious, hoping for 10 votes, but I have seen some things get, 5 likes, stuff like that. So I thought I could, put this up there to 10. And so if I do something like this and you haven't voted, make sure you vote, get that up to 10. And before I get into the requests, I did just want to throw this up here. These are earnings for the upcoming week, and this is a little bit of a predicament because I'm blocking some. I'm blocking some for Thursday, which includes like Duolingo here, and then these other ones that are behind me. I don't really know them, so I'll leave it like that. But this is from Earnings Whispers, and yeah, so I'll just leave that up there, grab my beverage. I was thinking of just having water tonight to stay hydrated. I got work tomorrow, but with last week being, pretty exciting with a lot of stocks, especially I'm super proud of Unity Software, also very proud of Celsius because I was seeing some bearish tweets around here and I stuck to it. Unity Software, yeah, there's just like no momentum in those as far as like views and interest, and they played out really well. Another thing that actually is a little bit concerning about this maybe being a top is that the volume came down. But that could be because it was a Friday. So, I don't know, but I'm going to be trimming some of my calls tomorrow morning, I think. But I'll be at work, so we'll see if limits get hit, whatnot. But anyways, I'll leave this up, and I'll cheers you guys. Happy weekend, happy Sunday. I hope you're looking forward to Monday. Hopefully you like the thumbnail. I was just kind of inspired by 200-year-old vampires sucking, being greedy, sucking all of the goodness out of Social Security, receiving checks and stuff. I just thought that was funny. And I really like the claymation, and the red on Friday reminding me of blood. And also, as a joke, because you guys are always making requests, asking for all this stuff, kind of feel like you're feeding on me and whatnot. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I just really like the style of that image. Grok is super fun. I love it. But anyways, cheers to you guys. I'm excited for this stream and to see what happens in the week ahead. So cheers, guys. Yeah. So I see some requests there. One from Saul, PDYN, and then Hydro Hustler Swing Trading, Plug Power. So I will pull them up. And so PDYN, I have not looked at them before. At least I don't think I have. Plug, routinely cover on the channel. And that one, actually, I didn't see much in the unusual whales data. So I feel like what I need to get better at, what I did poorly in the, I might actually just pull it up so you guys can see it, but in the playlist, I think I should have one, options, theses, let's see, view full playlist. So it looks like there are 14 videos, 14 weeks, although there was a gap in these two, I think. And yeah, wow, some of these got more than 100 views. I'm kind of surprised by that. But it was just me kind of tracking the unusual whales data. And one thing that I really learned from doing this series is that it really does matter the timing. Like, if you want to buy a stock and it's at the bottom, that's fine. It's fine if it consolidates for months after that. You still bought the bottom. But with options, it doesn't really matter if you bought the bottom. If it consolidates for a while, theta is just going to diminish. And so I definitely, like pretty much everything that I went over in this, I just got into early. It's been super valuable for me to recognize that. And so Plug, I don't see anything super bullish in the data. So that is why, excuse me, I'm not super excited about Plug right now. I just kind of want to see what happens if the data kind of stands out. But just thinking about, other stocks that I cover, I thought I'd just, ramble a little bit with the stuff up here. Tomorrow, let's see, HIMS. I did put out a video on HIMS, and I was a little bit bearish on it, and I assumed that I was wrong because, let's see, when did I put out that HIMS video? Let's see, I want to go back to videos. When did I put the HIMS video? Was from a pre-market prep, so always good to watch those. 5 days ago, probably came out on Thursday. Let's see. Actually, that might have been on the weekend. Yeah, I'm not sure why I did a video on HIMS. I feel like these are presented like they're clips from pre-market prep. Yeah, so this is probably from I guess Thursday, because Friday was the... Wait, I just get really confused with my work schedule. Pre-market prep 20th, I was not at work on Friday the 21st. I did a live stream. So this probably would have been from Tuesday of last week, maybe. Time to short HIMS. And if we look at the screenshot there, or the thumbnail, it was, the big green candle followed by green with the wick up, and then red bearish engulfing. So right here. And so I was saying, time to short, the day after I was wrong. It went up 17.5%. But then maybe from up here, that would have been a really good time to buy some puts, down 30% there. I don't know how to short, to be honest, other than by buying puts. But yeah, so that was kind of spot on. But who knows what's going to happen around earnings. Let's see. I used to cover Chegg, but I haven't looked at that in a while. Keurig Dr. Pepper, that's interesting. I didn't know about them. Donut, Krispy Kreme. I don't know. Tuesday after close, pretty busy with AMC. Unfortunately, I'm at work then, so I won't be able to stream it. I was thinking, I could stream it after the fact if you guys are really interested in that. But I like also the data in AMC from Unusual Whales doesn't really look terribly bullish. So I don't think that anything it's not necessarily bearish or anything. It's just not like jumping out, being bullish. And so I'm a little bit concerned, or not necessarily concerned. I just think that that's going to fade lower. So I don't think it's too exciting. Lucid, I'm kind of curious about them. Let's see over here. I don't think I really followed too many of these. NVIDIA, C3AI, Joby Aviation. I've definitely covered them before. Let's see over here. Soundhound, definitely covered them. I'm kind of neutral on them right now. I have a couple shares, no options or anything. Clover Health definitely covered them. Archer as well. Ooh, Rocket Lab, that's pretty cool. Fubo TV, I had some calls in them. I sold them too soon. Could have made a lot of money. Instead, I made some money. But yeah, I haven't liked this, so I should like that. And yeah, I'll get back over here. I'm just gonna have another sip. And then I will get into the one that I'm not familiar with, PDYN. All right, and so this, yeah, like I've started to leave the moving averages up here just because, that looks like it's pulled back right into that 50-day moving average. So I don't think that looks terribly bad or anything like that. This has been, I mean, there are a couple green days in here, but from the top here, it's been like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days down, kind of a lot. And let's see, I could do a Fibonacci retracement, then it's like, if I scroll back, where's the bottom? But I think following this move, there's a very clear bottom after that. So I'm just going to kind of like zoom in here. We can see the low there was 302. And I'm just going to do a Fibonacci retracement from that low, 302, up to the high here, which was 1595. And yeah, so we're right around the 618. And so I'm just going to adjust this to only include, so it's like that's the golden pock right there, the 618 down to the 65% retracement. The 786, I feel like it's good to have a plan for if it does dip down to around 550. And the reason for that is not because of the 786 retracement there, but because there's a gap here. And so we can see that the close on December 24th was $4.94. Just going to make that dashed and blue so we know that there is a gap down there that does need to be filled. So I think that's something to be aware of, that this could be coming down to $5.50 or $5. It also could be, I've been kind of a fan of this really just like exploiting retail market psychology, seeing, I remove this, there's very clearly a gap there. There's no overlap between wicks or anything like that. It was a gap on a green day here, and you could see that clearly. There's just a gap there. And so it's not like it's a red candle where the close is down here. And so retail may not be as savvy to recognize the gaps all the way down there. This, very clearly there's a gap right there. And I mean, even you could draw it up to, like I used to draw gaps when I was first starting out on the channel. I do them based on the highs. So the high for that day was 520. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think that those are two levels that, it's like retail sees them. Oh, I'm going to place a bunch of limit buy orders at like $5 or 520, whatever it is, for 94, because there's that gap there. Once that gap is filled, then the bottom's in. I've got the exact bottom or whatever. But then the bottom only comes down to, let's say, 557, maybe 550, go a little bit lower than that, or maybe it goes to 560, 569, who knows, got to have fun with it. And yeah, so I think that this could be kind of like a, I forget the right phrase for this, but like a tease. It's like everybody's wanting to buy the dip here, but it doesn't go quite that low. And then they get left behind because, I mean, what we see here is, big up move, pullback consolidations. That's like effectively like a bull flag, bullish consolidation, like stair stepping its way up. And then now it's doing that again. And with the formation here, if I just do a little trend line, just going from the low there, and, connecting that, maybe I've been trying to do like thicker lines just so I don't get too crazy with stuff. Trying to like thicker lines, I'll draw fewer things up here. But with that light blue trend line, that's going from the low from December 26th, intersecting with the approximate low of January 8th, as well as the low approximately, from February 3rd. And so that just seems like, it's putting in higher lows. So I think that's good. And then if I draw another, something like this is forming, pennant, bull flag, whatever. And so, yeah, I think that this looks pretty good, but I think it's good to be prepared for it maybe breaking below the 50-day moving average right around 8 where it closed at. Could be coming down to like 720. That's the 65% retracement, the base of that golden pocket. But if I could also see it coming down towards, maybe not 2, but towards 550. So, $6. That might be a good level to be keeping in mind. And let's see, what was the low on the 26th of December? The low was 630. So that's still a little bit above 6. So yeah, I feel like this is looking good to me. I feel like the consolidation here is fine. As far as the volume goes around this, I don't know. It's like the volume has been diminishing as it's been consolidating. The highs in the volume are getting lower. The highs are, on days when it moves up. So I think that's good. But it's, yeah, so I'm not good enough at the volume analysis to really be able to say much about this. We do see lower highs in the stock price. We see lower highs in the RSI. There's no divergence there. We do see higher lows in the stock price, whereas in the RSI, this seems like, the RSI is pulling back a good amount. I guess maybe I should go from over here, the low from over here. Yeah, the stock price from here, the lows are getting higher. Stock price from this day, higher lows. But then if we look at the RSI from this point, we see it kind of like the lows are getting lower. Over here, the like absolute low here, approximately on just January 13th, low of 51.59. Currently, it's at 44.94. So that is very clearly, you can see that that's a lower low in the RSI, and that's going to be bearish divergence. And I might just pull it up so we see it. Bearish divergence, and we can just kind of look at, this is the one I'd always like to look at. So yeah, when it's bearish, sorry guys, I was wrong. Good thing I checked this. Bearish is on the top. Bearish is on the top side. So regular divergence is you see the stock price going higher. So like you think it's good, but really the RSI or whatever oscillator down below is doing lower highs. That's bad. Hidden divergence is where you're getting like a consolidation coming down like this. So that's what we're seeing. But we are also seeing lower highs here. So there's no divergence there. That would be bearish divergence if the RSI was going higher. And so what we're seeing, we're seeing it on the bullish side. So I think that PDYN, Paladine AI Corporation, cool, it's AI, let's see, the stock price is doing higher lows. So that's going to be like this, hidden divergence. This is going to be the hidden bullish divergence. Higher lows in that stock price, lower lows from over here in that RSI, very clearly. Lower lows. Come right over. It's lower low. Well, this is higher. So that is a hidden bullish divergence following upside move consolidation, upside move consolidation. This looks really good. And I'm curious to see if there are any options data. There's options data. So let's look over at unusual whales. I'm, just kind of getting a little bit more familiar with the best way to look stuff up. So I'm just going to look up, is it PDYN? PDYN. Okay, and so no trades with these filters. So I am just going to remove that filter, PDYN. And what I want is, it doesn't really matter what contract. This is, put for a couple days ago. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is the data here. So I'm just going to expand this so we can see it. And so this looks like it could be forming a bottom. And the reason why I say that, and it doesn't mean it's going to be taking off right away, but the reason why I say that this is probably forming a bottom, one thing that I've noticed with these is, okay, so stock price in yellow, that's coming down. It's flat here, okay, not too exciting. That's in yellow. But what we see is, okay, the volume's green, so that means there's net buying of something, whether it's calls or puts, I don't know. But both the net call and put premium is negative. So it's kind of tough to, really consider this volume here because both calls and puts, net call and put premium is negative. So it's tough to know, is this buying of calls or puts? I don't know. But what I can say is that the net call premium up here in green, more or less flat, did come down a little bit, came down. Net call premium for the 21st. I'm surprised that the number is staying over here. On Saturday, it wasn't sticking up here because Saturday is not the 21st. But anyways, on the 21st, we see that net call premium came down by about 16,000. So that's, something, but it's not a huge amount of money. And what we see in the net put premium, it came down by 90,000. You see that in the red line here, just negative all throughout the day, came down way more than that call premium. So net call premium coming down, that means people are selling calls. That's bearish. But people are selling more puts. So that kind of counterbalances it, and that's not necessarily bullish, but that's kind of suggesting that the bottom is in or near, that there's not much more downside potential. It might consolidate for a couple weeks, and if it does, theta is going to destroy contracts, or at least it's just going to waste your time. You don't want to do that. And so this right here, just from the 1 day of data, this makes me think that a bottom could be in or very near. If we do look at the bear bull slider just above my head, majority very clearly on the bullish side, 61% there. So that does seem pretty good, but that's bullish in the sense that a lot of puts are being sold. That's not bullish in the sense that whales are piling into calls. They're not doing that. And also this amount of money, $90,000, it's not unusual whale activity. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like a YOLO in Wall Street Bets, I feel like that's like $10,000. So this could just be like 9 degens, YOLOing in this, selling those puts. So, take that with a grain of salt. And then the way that I've been enjoying looking at this data, expanding on it, is taking a step back, is rather than going from like 1 day to 3 days or 7 days, maybe 14, just take a full step back, 30 days, to see, is there something that stands out as being unusual that's happening right now? That could be, that could be a signal. So if we look at this over the past 30 trading days, what we see is there is, a good amount of selling of puts. And on the 19th, also a good amount of selling of puts. And so puts came down. That net put premium came down by almost $117,000. That's a good amount of people offloading puts. And that's the most that puts have been down in these past 30 trading days. So that is, a bottoming signal, I would say. Calls are not spiking up. So that doesn't tell me that it's about to start ripping. And so what we see over here, this looks like people who are late to the party, but we see net call premium going up on the 22nd of January, going up by like $154,000, net call premium going up. But, if we look at the stock price is going up, and they kind of pull back, and then, so they were a little either late to the game because of this pullback, or, but we don't see tons of selling of calls. So, maybe they exited around here, the low over here. Net call premium came down by $77,500. So it could be some of this. But yeah, I mean, we see these spikes in the net call premium, but these spikes in the net call premium, they were bad. They were bad moves because, the stock price following that net call premium going up, the stock price came down. Following this, this was after the top was in and it's came down notably. It hasn't recovered from the price, the stock price that it was at here. So these signals were not really that good. These signals could potentially be suggesting a bottom is in and or near. So I just look for it to be like respecting these levels, 758, maybe just 750 or like 720. That 720 to 758, that's the golden pocket. The 50-day moving average is around 8, but we could wick below it. So keep an eye on those levels. I don't feel like, based on the options data, I don't feel like it's going to be coming much lower because bears are offloading. But at the same time, they're not huge positions. The most offloading is 116.67 thousand, so it's not like a huge amount. But that could also just be this stock. Earnings are coming up on the 26th, looks like during the pre-market, and the expected move based on options data, as far as I understand it, is about a 27.8% move, which would be plus or minus $2.21. And so, with it being right here, let's just take some measurements. From here to the downside, 2.21 to the downside, that would effectively be coming down to like, wow, I got that right, 2.21, crazy. That was approximate. That'd be coming down to like 574, it looks like. So there's the potential to the downside there, coming down 2.21. I don't know if you can see it up here. That's where I'm getting that from. And then, 2.21 to the upside, that could be, going up this way. And so as we see that, the stock price has come down, the volume has also kind of come down. So if it consolidates, I don't really know. If it consolidates here, I don't think that's good. It says earnings were on the 20th. So maybe Unusual Whales data is incorrect. But yeah, I mean, this is what I could see it coming down here, and then it had this, though, as resistance. I feel like this is more likely to be going up like this than to be going down, but I don't know. Supported by the data here, and I imagine trying to pay more attention to Max Payne's. Max Payne from Friday was $10, so that's kind of bearish, so we closed $2 below it. And if we look at the data here, Max Payne's, that's only 2 strikes, so it only goes by $1 increments. That's good that it's not like 4 strikes with 50-cent increments. So that could be worse. And then this is only monthly contracts, though. So for March 21st, Max Payne is 9. Actually, for the next 2 months, March and April, Max Payne is 9. So yeah, I mean, looking at that data, the Max Payne data, this does make me feel like, I mean, I'd say I don't have a position in it. I'm not considering getting a position in it. But for myself, I'm probably not going to do anything with this. I'm just going to put an alert at $6. Because if it comes down to $6, I could then look at the options data, the Unusual Whales data, that net call premium, Max Payne's, whatnot, and kind of evaluate, does it look like it might be reversing around there? And so for me, I feel like this is going to go higher, but the Max Payne data doesn't really look that good. It does, though, have that hidden bullish divergence. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this is more likely, but it could do something. Let's see. I'm just going to get the drawing tool. It could do, actually, before I do that drawing tool, I'm just going to remove that. Because, I could see it doing something like this, but then by, March, whatever expiration, it could be down pretty low over here. And then maybe it could do something like this and then go lower to fill that gap. and maybe hit that moving average down there around 350. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, but it's good to, have a plan for if in case it does. So yeah, I mean, I think that there could be a nice move to the upside in the next couple weeks, maybe 10 days, 6 trading days, maybe over the course of the next week or two, it could go up potentially. I mean, it could just go up 20%, to around 950, maybe go up to here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I do think that there's risk for it to the downside. But anyways, hopefully that's a nice ramble there. Hopefully that's useful. Got Plug Power next on the list. And hey, Nameless, what's up? And I will add Fastly and PAGs. But first, I'm going to cheers you. Happy Sunday. Hopefully your weekend's going well and you're looking forward to the week. I got work tomorrow, so I'm not too excited about that. But it is what it is. I've been having a good time trading, though. I've been really enjoying Unusual Whales. And I think it's really improved my trading a lot. So I wish I didn't have to work tomorrow because I just want to, be in on the charts and stuff. But anyways, cheers. I'm going to have another drink because I cheersed after I drank. So, all right. I will add Fastly, and PAGs. And then I'm going to delete this other stuff that I kind of went over, like Celsius, Hims I went over, Highcroft I went over. I'm going to make sure this is on the DGen Ed list. I got to move the DGen Ed list up. Okay, so, yep, and SPY. Looks like we're going to get a little bit of a gap up, but that could break down. I'll be going over that during pre-market prep tomorrow, the S&P 500. So I'm going to delete that from here. Also, Unity Software went over that, as well as Wolfspeed. And so now let's look over at Plug. And so, yeah, I mean, with this, I have a pretty small position. Up here, I had an average of like 220. I think I had about 100 shares selling covered call on a weekly basis. And I kind of regret not getting out at break even. I had taken some profits up here, but it's just like, it's kind of speculative. Being a cheaper stock, the options data is not just going to be as useful because whales aren't going to go into something as risky as this. And, we've definitely seen a good amount of bankruptcies and stuff. Biora, Fisker, prior to doing the channel, but I remember Lordstown Motors. And then just recently, I believe we saw, Hooters, that's a big one for a lot of us. And then also, what did we just see recently? Nikola, I believe, is filing for bankruptcy. It happens. I think that's something that we've got to recognize. And I was listening to Trump speak during the, is it CPAC or something? I don't know whatever that, I'm probably an idiot for not knowing what that's called, but whatever. I think it's a conservatives meeting or something following the first kind of gathering from the presidency and or his inauguration. And I believe that he was talking about hydrogen and that, if one of those cars gets into an accident, you're finding the body in a tree, and because just launches them, it's like a rocket. And so I don't know, that makes me a little bit, some of this stuff is, it's all investing. It's all speculative. This makes me feel like it's a little bit speculative. And then I, want to get my average down. I, at least want to get out at break even. I think my average is around $2, maybe like 209, something like that. Been averaging down a little bit, but I have less than 200 shares. Pretty small position. I think I have some calls though. And I was thinking about adding to my calls. But looking over at the Unusual Whales data, if we look over here, just going to my options theses, this is a contract that, this is the one that I'm holding, and I was kind of contemplating, do I want to buy the dip on this? Probably tomorrow, I forget. I think I had a limit buy order, and I think I removed it though. And, I do one contract at a time, but as I get better with unusual whales, I will probably have more like aggressive, like in, out type of plays. Just as I learn the data better. But with Plug Power, I think I have two, maybe three of these contracts. I'm red on it now. So I was thinking about getting my average down. This is the $5 strike for the January 16th expiration, 2026, over 300 days between now and that expiration. It's really not that exciting, not tons of activity, but really what I want to look at with Plug Power, this is what I was kind of using to kind of evaluate my decision is, we see net put premium in red going up. So that's bearish. And we see net call premium in green going down, being a little bit negative. And so what we see is net put premium went up by 23,000, whereas net call premium came down by about 4,500. And so that makes me think that this is not necessarily so bullish, that it's probably more bearish. And if we actually look at the bearable slider, this is kind of odd. 87%, the majority is on the neutral side. Let's see, bearish, bullish. If we look at those numbers there, it's more so on the bearish side. I would argue, looking at this data, it looks a little bit more bearish. But it's 23,000 net put premium. It's not a lot of money. Couple degens, nothing too crazy. So let's look at the 30 days, see if there's anything that stands out. To be honest, nothing stands out about this. We see this big drop in the net put premium, so that's potentially bullish. That was on the 18th, but that net put premium, actually it came down by 1.8 million. So maybe that's suggesting that a bottom's near. I mean, that does stand out just looking at this. Take a step back, look at the big picture. What do we see? The highs over here, what's this net call premium go up to on January 10th? Net call premium went up by less than 610,000, by $609,660. And so, it's more than $500,000. That's something that's notable. But we got like 3 times that over here coming down in that net put premium. So that's not necessarily bullish, but like there's potentially a bottom forming, and the stock price here, maybe we're putting in a double bottom, so that's maybe there's something there. But on that same day, net call premium also came down by about 700,000, more than $500,000, so that's notable, but definitely more selling of puts versus the selling of calls there. So that seems like maybe a bottom's near. Looking at the chart, this is what I think. I got this uptrend here. I probably want to delete that uptrend because the uptrend is not what's important. What's important is that we put in higher lows. And right now, if we look at the low over here, 157, that's the level we want to keep our eyes on. That is the red line in the sand that, if we're putting in a lower low, just weakness, not really showing too much strength. We do see here, let's see, if we do hold higher than this, that would be putting in a higher low. The RSI, as of right now, is also putting in a higher low, so that's no divergence there. Lower highs here, whereas the RSI here is effectively flat with the highs. And so that's like a weak bearish divergence, I believe. So when it's coming down like that, let's look over here. When it's coming down, stock price lower highs, like this, lower highs. We're getting it kind of flat here. So that's kind of a weak, hidden bearish divergence because there's a difference between that trend. You want to see them moving together. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think the low is 163 on Friday. It was 163. I think I had a limit buy order for like 10 shares at 165, so I added a little bit to my position. But at this point, I'm kind of just curious to see if this holds and if the data over here, from Unusual Whales, if it starts to look bullish. because right here, the mass selling of puts, that makes me think the bottom could be in or near. And that was on February 18th, so I should look at that date. That was over here. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that this could be right around the bottom. Looks like we filled that gap there. Blue line, so maybe that's what we needed. So yeah, it looks like overnight it's up by 1 penny, which is 0.6%. So maybe there's something there. But yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with Plug Power right now because I want to see this data, saying, hey, lots of calls are being bought. And then it's like, okay, that's a go long signal. Whereas this is, it's not going down anymore signal. Maybe it just consolidates for a week or two, forms a bear flag, and then it continues down lower. So, hopefully that's helpful. That's just kind of my thought process, what I've been learning with unusual whales and trying to relate that net call and put premium to stock price to see how, just the layers of the data add up. And so, Saul, glad you liked the analysis. And yeah, so, but I think that with PDYN, I think that's kind of like, it's tough to say, but I feel like, whatever I was saying, I think that the next couple weeks, it could go higher, but yeah, that max pain data, I don't know. With Plug Power, kind of waiting to see more data in the unusual whales. And when I do see something that stands out, whether it's like very clearly bearish or very clearly bullish, I'll do a video on it. But I just don't want to be doing like tons and tons of videos where I draw like all of these lines that don't necessarily have meaning. And like technical analysis, I feel like is one aspect of it. Analyzing the data, like down here, the moving averages, the options data and stuff. I feel like that's really where you get an edge. Because just like looking at the stuff here, at least at my skill level at this point, is I feel like more or less 50-50. But looking at that unusual whales data, I think it makes it at least 60-40 in favor of being correct. Maybe more than that. Depending on timing, I think more than that. But I'm still learning. And yeah, so, this is cool. I remember this. This is one of, like at the beginning of highly regarded options theses, I believe. I was going over Fastly, and it was just like, I think I drew this cup more or less during a live stream. Cup and handle, bullish pattern. Fake out broke below. I didn't add down here, but I held on. And, it paid off. I think I made 20% on that or something. Nothing crazy. I could have made 100%, I bet. But now it's back to, these levels. So that's like interesting to be paying attention to. Gap down following earnings. So yeah, and one of the things that I've been really like appreciating is like, and especially because of like doing more with options, with expirations, theta decay, get in, get out. That's it. Don't fall in love with stocks. I mean, there are definitely some stocks that I'm in love with. From a fundamental aspect, from a technical aspect, from like a community aspect, all these different things. But it's good to not fall in love. And so options, it's like you swing this, you get out, and maybe you're holding some shares, but not a ton, and then coming back to here, it's like a discount. So I might clean up a little bit of this just to get kind of an idea of where this could be settling out. And yeah, so I might just leave that there. I'm just going to make this thicker. Whoa, thicker there. So there's like a lot of levels here. That's 786. Pulled back to it, bounced from there, right around 620, 630, somewhere around there. But what I could also do is, another Fibonacci from the low here to the high. The thing that has me a little bit concerned about this is it's broken below the 200-day moving average. And yeah, like the last time it did that, there was, quite a bleed down. Didn't get up to that gap. And that's what I'm talking about with these gaps. It's like, they're there like, to lure people. It's like, oh, well, there's a gap there. Very clearly, if I remove those moving averages for just a second, very clearly there's a gap there. Everybody can see it. And so as this is going up, following this, break down, shaking people out. And then from there, let's say people didn't actually go long until it was like, okay, it's back at this, handle level going up 65%. And then by that point, people are like, oh, well, it's definitely got to fill that gap at $12.93, right around $13 makes sense. I can get another 10% or so out of this, but then it doesn't happen. It shakes people out. So yeah, I think it's just like a really interesting aspect of the market. It's just like, it's good to have exits. And I think Orlando was posting this on X today. I don't know if I retweeted it or anything, but just talking about, exits. The way that you make money is by exits, by taking profits, but everybody's always looking for entries, the next play, what can one get involved in? And so like what I've been doing, like with going over charts in these streams and stuff, is rather than being like, oh, I'm intrigued by that because like Paladine AI Corporation, I am intrigued by this because of this consolidation, this bullish, hidden bullish divergence down here, but at the same time, maybe I'm wrong and maybe it doesn't do this and maybe it just breaks down. And so it's like, rather than being like, oh, I'm going to put my money on the possibility of me being right here, I'd rather wait and see if it breaks down to like 6, then maybe I can revisit it when it's cheaper at a discount, $2 off, 25% off sale. And then see, well, do I think that there could be a bounce or do I think that it's just going to continue down? So I find that to be really nice about these videos, just setting alerts. And it does look like I have an alert over here at 703, below 703, which I, was alerted on that over here. Over here when it broke down, it's like, oh man, I think that was probably like, I'm going to have a stop loss there, but I didn't. It's like, no, I'm just going to wait a couple days, see what happens. But anyways, from the lows over here, let's see. And so the low is actually 625. So a little bit lower than 631. But yeah, so 625 up to the high of 1208. Just going to make sure that those levels are right. 625, 1208. So that looks good. Oops, I want to lock it. Dang it. I want to lock it. And then I want to... Actually, I don't really need to add levels to this because the 786, we're already below it. Excuse me. So I would think that the 786 is an important level to reclaim. Closed on Friday below 750. Also being kind of a psychological level, just, I don't know, we think in quarters, half dollars. The low also over here on February 13th was 746. So right around 750. I think that's a level that we want to see reclaimed. So if it doesn't close above 750 tomorrow, I feel like this is probably coming down to maybe form a double bottom or maybe continue lower below 631 down to 621. Purple line here, I'll zoom in so you can see it right there. The low from November 15th was 631. Got that purple line marked there. And you can see, how this kind of, there's a bottom there. And then also that 786 at 621, the low was 625. And so I think that, you draw these levels and, that was clearly, the low from here to the high there, get a little bit of a tease. Almost, it's a lure, luring the fish to bite at 621, but then they get left behind. And so, yeah, I think this could be going down to 625, let's say, if we don't reclaim 750, closing above that level tomorrow. So that's what I would look for. And what I am going to do is just looking at the closing price, 1007. That was the closing price on February 12th. And so that is the gap fill level. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of gaps to the upside, right around 10, right around 13. But I mean, what happened following, this gap down here? Consolidated for a while, trending down, boring people out, and then it just broke lower. So that was, what time was that before we even got close to, not even getting to fill that gap, but got close to filling that? So from the lows there up to the highs here, that was a span of 230 calendar days or 159 trading days. So that's a good amount of time of not making too much progress. Did increase by about 55%, 54% to the upside. But if one bought here, still underwater. So, just because there's a gap there doesn't mean it's going to get filled, and we formed a new gap. So this could be coming down 625, I feel like, unless we close tomorrow or during the week above 750. Then there's some potential for this to reclaim the 200-day moving average, which is at $8.01. So yeah, pretty cool there. Oh, cool. And then I see the comment from, okay, so I got to catch up. I'm getting distracted I'm skipping some comments because Nameless and Sweet Lovely both have pink for their non-photo icons or whatever. But yeah, so Sweet Lovely is requesting holo, so I'll pull that up. And Saul is saying, ChargePoint just got a non-compliance letter. Would you get out if they do a reverse stock split? So what I've noticed with reverse stock splits, and with that, we can look at Luminar, which is one that has super boring options. I'm in that along with ChargePoint shares. And we can look at Luminar to see what happened with their recent reverse stock split. And I think that'll give you an answer. Might be associated with some tough decisions, though, so I hope you're ready for it. Ricardo, what's up? I feel like it's been a while. Intel, yeah, I'll definitely pull them up. I still have, I think, maybe 7 shares. I'm not sure. Small position. I'm trying to figure out my balance between learning options, participating in them, swinging them, getting in and out, and picking up shares. And I realized, oh my gosh, Intel is like a deep value play. But with the options, because they can and likely will go to zero, I took profits at 20%, and I could have been up probably 200-300% maybe on them. So, but that's part of the learning process. I am learning with options, and so I can't be too hard on myself when I sell too low or something. And it's also, I got in too early with a lot of those. But I will continue on with Nameless's request of PAG. Should be pretty quick with that one because I have gone over it, as you can see, the thicker lines here quite recently. But this does seem like, a pretty notable rejection from all of these levels that I've drawn up here. So we got this purple uptrend based on the low from like November of 2023 intersecting over here. And, seeing this down move here, consolidation, bear flag, continue down. And also this white line here going back to the lows from December of 2022, getting a bounce here in April of 2023. Fake out break below it, so maybe that's not so significant, but like this bear flag was consolidating between those two. So I feel like it is a pretty notable level. And then we did get a wick above that, but then a rejection hitting a high on Friday of 897. So I think that this is probably going to be pulling back. I do have this Fibonacci retracement. I kind of suggested this, that it would be getting rejected from the purple one. I imagine that's kind of what I suggested. But actually, it's kind of crazy. This is why I like to do these doodles, because I might look at them and be like, wow, that's like exactly what's happening. I'm just like a little delayed or a little ahead of the chart or something. But yeah, I mean, we got that yellow line there, that yellow doodle, basically going up to getting rejected from that white trend line, which would be around 879, close to 9. Definitely got rejected there. Bearish engulfing candle, had this consolidation here And yeah, just gave back all of those gains. Last week was a 4-day trading week because of the President's Day on the 17th, on Monday. And so, we started the week at on the 18th, opening at a price of 805, and then we closed the week exactly at that same price. So that doesn't look so good. Also, with that big red candle there, we have volume increasing with that. We also have the MACD pulling back along with the RSI, which, maybe it could be forming a bottom here and go back up. But this, to me, it looks like it's probably heading lower, maybe to fill that gap, or maybe to come down to the 618, which I'm wondering, maybe that's like the 50% retracement. No, 50% retracement would be high. Maybe that's like the 786 if I adjust this to be at 897. Just going to make sure that's the right prices. So 611, the bottom here. So that's right. 897, that's the top over there. Lock that in. And yeah, I'm going to delete this because that doesn't seem to be too useful. But yeah, the 618, actually, I was thinking the 786. So I didn't adjust any of those. But maybe I'll add the 618. That seems pretty nice with my drawing. That doodle, that's what's going to happen. 100%. I have no idea. But there's this gap here. This does seem to be pretty weak. Big volume. Look at like the last time we had volume close to that high. So volume of 8.65 million shares. Over here, January 27th, volume of 8.01. And that was over here. And then like as it's going higher, volume's coming lower. And then, it's like this push here, but it's still lower volume. Not really getting much higher consolidation. And then, yeah, it's tough to know that, but this just looks bearish to me. If it doesn't do the orange line there, maybe it could do something like, this. Like what's the most amount of pain, whether the pathway's up or down. Maybe I want to leave that up there just to mention it. Yeah, it could come down, fill this gap, and then go up, but then get rejected here, and then pull back to these levels. And yeah, so like the maximum amount of pain, the maximum amount of waiting, the maximum amount of agony. So yeah, I think that this is probably going lower, unfortunately. But yeah, it got up to basically 9, got up to these levels, and more or less seems like it's so far doing what I doodled here. So, but yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. But I'd look for, also you got the 50-day moving average here around $7. So that's like kind of a confluence of levels here. And also like the highs over here. A little bit of consolidation there could be acting as support. So yeah, I could see this coming down another $1. So I'd be cautious of that, coming down to around 7. And then the next one, I've got Sweet Lovely with Hollow. I'll pull that up, but I'm going to have another sip. And it does look like I've been streaming for an hour, so I'm going to try to wind this down a little bit. Yeah, I see Nameless is responding to Ricardo saying, what happened, Ricardo? Didn't see you for a while. So yeah, and also on that note, if people, hopefully people are busy with life activities and whatnot, stuff with family, friends, or, if people are in and out and we don't see each other for a while, whether that's in the chat like you guys are talking, or I'll add Azul up as well, Nameless, but I'm going to continue on with the other ones before I get into that. But yeah, it's like it's a nice little community here, and so I hope that if people venture away, whether that's to not venture back or just other endeavors and whatnot, I hope everybody's doing well. So yeah, for me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel really good about this channel. I think I'm going to be able to quit my job this year. Feeling really good because of that unusual whales data. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but this channel, working on stuff at home, my lame job, my life's not very exciting. Okay, so let's look at this. Lots of stuff here. I am actually just going to trash everything. I'm just going to have a clean slate with this. Seems like it's faded a lot. There was a reverse split over here, 1 for 20. A reverse split over here, 1 for 10. And if we go back 2 years in time, it was not $1,000. Really, over here, it was 6,000, 7,000. Wow, what was the high? The high was 7,000 exactly over here. Crazy. However, they did those reverse splits. But yeah, this is a day. That's a bearish engulfing candle. Dang. But yeah, so this one, I mean, and before I get into the chart, before I get into any analysis on this, I'm just going to say this is too speculative for me. I personally would not partake in this. Let's see, is there options data? There is some options data. It's only going to be monthly, but considering that it's like a $1.50 stock, it's just not going to have enough data to really like give bearish or bullish signals, like to see, oh, a whale's buying it or dumping it. That's going to tell me something like that's not going to happen with the stock this cheap. And so, like, if you're in love with the company, if you really want to invest in them and stuff, sure, maybe. But I mean, look at the track record of this company. It doesn't seem too promising. Also, yeah, I mean, there are tons of stocks to trade. So I think that this is, I mean, yeah, even over here, I was thinking maybe that it does like a full retracement. It's already done more than that. The little marker here, 106, new all-time low, I believe, 106. Yeah, we look back in history, marked right there, 106. So, and that was hit on Thursday. Did go up 32% effectively on Friday, so maybe I should not be trash talking it so much. But I mean, look at over here. When this did have a big move up, it pulled back right away. Something that is maybe a little bit more promising about this is that the gap up was green. So the gains were not given back basically with the red candle. Opening up here, closing down here, that was not so good. And also a pretty big amount of volume over here. With this, it's at least a green candle, so it closed up here. It also closed above the 21-day moving average, but, let's see, the volume over here on the 27th of January was 205.55 million shares. Over here, 190.81 million shares. So lower volume, smaller moves. There were no reverse splits in this time frame. So this doesn't really look too strong. It couldn't even get up to the 50-day moving average at 195. Hit a high on Friday of 181. So yeah, I mean, I feel like, like the opening price, 142. I'm just thinking like from that's like the opening price from February 13th was at 142. So that's why I got that line drawn there. That's one that we want to be holding. We want to be keeping this momentum. It does look like in the after hours, it came down 9.5%. And if we look, I drew that line blind just thinking that, maybe there could be some support over here based on the candle that's there, not from the high, but from the candle. So let's look over at the 10-minute chart. Where is it trading at? It's trading right around that white line. So, I mean, it's the after hours or the pre-market starting tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, maybe that's significant, maybe it's not, but I just think that overall, this is more likely, in my opinion, to continue to fade, continue to bleed. And if one is not prepared to take profits on a 650% move like this, then I don't think it's worth holding. I don't think it's worth buying. And with that 650% move, you can't expect to buy the bottom or have an average at the bottom, and you can't expect to sell the top. And so what I think is reasonable with something like this is if you want to gamble on this, if you want to throw some money away on it. And something that I recently learned about gambling, I think from the All In podcast, like the lottery, that is effectively a tax on the poor, because I think it's really interesting. You always hear about this from lottery winners. They win $10 million. How much does the state collect? Or how much is collected by federal taxes? 30 to 50% or so. And so everybody buying those lottery tickets, like buying Holo down here, maybe they get the 650% move, or maybe, it's good to just settle for something like 100%, moving like $1. That's a pretty good trade. But the majority of those people who invest or buy lottery tickets, they don't win. And whoever does win, the state collects the money. And so it's like a tax on the poor. And so I think that stocks like this, you hear about them being like, well, this is more of a gamble. I feel like this is, a good way to gamble or buy a lottery ticket, which means I think that one's more than likely to lose money on this. And if we see from the open on Thursday up to here, that's a 70% move to that 50-day moving average. We didn't quite get that though. We got about a 50% move. So yeah, I think that's good. But I think that this is probably more than likely to continue fading lower. But 142, let's see a close above 142 tomorrow, and maybe there's something there. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I have a bias though. I like, for me, it's like, when we could look over at the, actually, no, the stream's getting too long, so I'm not going to look at the unusual whales data. There's not going to be anything on it. But I will look over at, let's see, Saul requested charge point, but I don't want to keep Ricardo waiting too long. So I will go over what he requested, which was Intel. And so let's see with Intel. Oh my gosh, this is one that you can't expect to learn everything overnight. And so I've been learning so much with options, learning how to read the data from unusual whales. But I recognize too that with my learning, I entered too early. So I've had theta decay or stock price came lower than I expected or whatever, I'm learning. And so it's like, well, normally I could probably get 100% swing. But with what my skill level is at, 20 is good, 20% is good. And so I took like 20% profit over here or something. And maybe over here, I don't know the date. And I could have, I sold the contracts that I had at like 60 cents, so like $60 per contract, and they went up to over $2. So if that was a 20%, I could have I think at least 3x'd, But you can't, that's a part of the learning process. It's like, okay, well, next time I'm going to execute more. When I see the data that suggests this is going to run, that's when I build the position, or that's when I make that position big. That's when I load it to get the average down notably, and then I ride the wave. And it came beautifully to this uptrend that I have marked here that's based on the low from September 10th. And the other pivot point is the low, I believe, from October 31st. And so that's how I get that trend line. Got a little bit of a test of it over here before breaking below it. And magically, we got rejected from that level. So that to me is like, I was looking at this gap up here, I think like 28.87, $30, I think was the strike for my call. Either expired in June or January. I think probably both. I probably had a $50 call for January, $30 call for June, but I forget. So maybe I'm wrong about that. But yeah, like rather than just being like, okay, my call's at a 20% gain, I should do that. If my thesis is that it's going to go up to this gap or at least get rejected by one of these levels, I should have taken profits around here or up here, and I didn't. And so with this pullback, I mean, it's finding support above the 200-day moving average at like 24.57. So I think that looks pretty good. This red candle day stock market was red, so not a big deal. After hours bounced by 0.2%. Overnight right now, it's up by 0.4% over $25 a share. But let's look at the unusual whales options data. And so I'd probably still track them over here because I'm a junkie. Yeah, $50 call for January 16th. And so let's look at the data over here. What does this tell us? And so right off the bat, what we see here, net call premium coming down in green. That's bearish. That's the selling of calls. That's how you get that net call premium to come down. Net put premium in red, that's going up. Oops, sorry, I thought the cursor was up here. I was down here. The red going up. And so what we see here is net put premium increased by $1.83 million on Friday. Net call premium decreased by $4.66 million. So that's bearish on multiple accounts. One is that net put premium is going up, suggesting that there's more buying of puts than selling. So that suggests that more people in the millions of dollar range are betting on this going down. The net call premium is going down by more than $4.5 million. And so that's saying that because it's going down, that's negative, that people are offloading. You know, after this big run, those people holding calls are taking profits. And we see down here in the volume that this is, you know, majority red. So that's the net selling of whether it's calls or puts, you know, it's just options, just whatever contracts. And so we see that's, you know, majority red throughout the day, a little bit of green here, but that's negligible. And we see that volume, you know, is negative. And so that corresponds with there are a lot of calls being sold and there are some puts being bought. And so that's suggesting that people are betting on this pulling back some more, like maybe to $23. And so I'll go over those levels in a second. I did just want to mention this bear bull slider. Majority is on the bearish side, 47% due to the neutral. And so, yeah, I mean, this looks bearish. If we look at the 30-day data, all this beautiful call data, but it was also going, you know, waxing and waning, positive and negative. So kind of some mixed signals there. You know, I was probably taking profits over here. Dang it, I could have taken profits up here. But yeah, I mean, what we're seeing here most recently, the past few days, it's, you know, 4.5 million to the downside for calls, negative down, negative down. I don't know. I'm saying I'm tired. For net call premium coming down. So that's like notable. It's millions of dollars, but relative to the peak up here, net call premium went up by over $34 million on February 18th. So we might be seeing the beginning of a pullback, but still, you know, there's like a good amount of positions, a good amount of money still long on Intel. So good to consider that. Might be good to look over at the Max Pain with the Greeks here. So Max Pain from the 21st was 22.50, closed above that, so that's good. This upcoming week, $22. So, I mean, you know, closed above Max Pain here. That's bullish, maybe gamma squeeze. Max Pain for this upcoming Friday, the 28th, $22. We're above that. So that suggests to me that there could be further gamma squeeze going up. So I think that this could actually rally to, you know, fill that gap. And that would represent a 16% move to the upside. So I still think that there's some room to go on this. And so for me with Intel, I think, like I said, I got 7, maybe 6, maybe 4. I don't know how many shares. It's a very small position. No contracts right now. Yeah, I mean, my average is 1930. That's down where the cursor is there. I'm never selling those shares. You know, that's like my Tesla position, basically. I could have been more aggressive with it, But I was like, as it was coming down, I was like buying on dips, selling at break even effectively, buying back on dips, selling at break even or trimming at break even. So I was still building a position, but just very small, 1 share at a time, 2 shares at a time, something like that. But yeah, so my average is 1930. I don't think it's going to come down to that level in the near term. So I'm just going to hold. And I think that this could, continue up to around 28, 29 bucks to fill that gap. And I should mention, I think I was going to, but I forgot. There was a gap over here, blue line. For some reason, I left it up there, even though it was filled over here. That just stood out to me as being, maybe I want to pay attention to that. If it was a significant level over here, maybe it will be over here. That also corresponds with the 50% retracement at $23.16. That blue line I should mention is at $23.32, and I do have an alert there for myself at $23 a share. Maybe we pull back to $23 a share a month or two from now. Maybe I'd like to add then. Maybe I'd like to look at some options. But right now, the options data from this overview makes me think that this is a little bit weaker than I would like to see. But if we look at, let's look at that specific contract. Yeah, no, I mean, I want to look at this. This is where like the detective work would come in with Intel, because if we go back past 7 trading days, what contract or what contracts were, from the $34 million there? And actually, I really, like, personally for myself, I want to look that up because it's good education for myself and good practice. But with the stream and it being over an hour already, and I want to be up early to do pre-market prep, I'm not going to dive into this. But what I would do, dang it. Let's just do this real quick. I'm just going to do this really quick. The flow over here, I think I want to escape this. And so I want to look up Intel, INTC, and I want to look up the data from, actually, before I do that, I probably want to add one of these filters. I'm going to do out of the money 2000. And so I'm going to do this for INTC. And I'm going to do this for the time range. What did I say? Was that the 18th? That was the 18th. Okay, so let's just look over here. So I'm just going to select this. I only want to look at the data for the 18th. I'm going to apply that. And so let's look. Puts were, getting the notification here. What's like a really large amount of premium? So I really just want to look over here at the premium column. $290,000. That's a lot of premium. 594. 32 call April 17th. 34. Okay, so this is like $500,000 on that one though. So that's notable. What number am I looking at? Right there, so that's a pretty big one. And so, yeah, I mean, there's more information on here. Maybe I'll go to the next page. Still on the 18th. Premium. Like, what stands out as being a lot of premium? Probably that 590. I'll go to the next page. Premium. Okay, yeah. Millions. 3.26 million, 1.66 million. This is a put. Screw that guy. This says that it's bearish, but that's because it's on the bid side, but they might have bought. And so let's look at this contract. This is the January 16th expiration. That's millions. That's a lot of money, And like looking at the data from this, that's 10% of the net call premium increase. Maybe I can find something more. So I'm going to keep going. Maybe I find something more. I just want to look for that yellow M. Okay, no, there's the next day. So I want to go to the previous one. This is the largest buy of that this contract, the $33 call that expires in January. So let's look at that. Bam! Look at that. $5.8 million on that candle. And let's look at the past 90 days. So like all of the data here. I can't go back further in time. I don't know when this was, like if how far this goes back, but I assume that this has to have been a buy because I don't think that there was much over here. So let's see. $5.8 million, and that was on the 18th. So on the 18th, what did we see? We saw an open interest on the 18th of 8.884 thousand contracts open. And then we see a volume of 21,000. What do we see open interest on the next day? 28,000. Increase of 19,000 contracts. So of this volume, 21,000, over 21,000 contracts traded, over 19,000 were buying to increase this open interest, and that open interest has only gone up by another 409 contracts, 28.5 thousand open interest. So this looks really good because this $5.8 million is still going along Intel. And so with that being said, looking at the chart, I think that this is probably going to go higher, even though, if we look at the data here, it suggests it's a little bearish. It's the bear bull slider, more on the bearish side. But it's probably going higher because $5.8 million are saying that they think it's going higher between now and January, up to $33. And I think that's a totally reasonable target. That's like getting to here. Totally reasonable. So yeah. Anyways, hopefully that's helpful with Intel. And then I need to look at ChargePoint. Definitely want to look at ChargePoint. This, I have to say, I'm feeling less confident in this. And you did say something that there was some news. Is ChargePoint stock a buy now? This is from Motley Fool. They are fools. Don't listen to them. So I see from Saul's comment, just got a non-compliance letter. Would you get out if they do a reverse stock split? So I wanted to look at Luminar so we could see what happened after their reverse stock split. So Luminar, kind of similar actually, in the sense that I don't think Luminar's ever had a reverse stock split, which would be marked by a purple M down here. And we don't see that. We just see that over here. So this is their first time doing a reverse stock split. They did a 1-for-15. What happened following that reverse stock split? Price came down like to where it's currently at by about 44% to the lows, over 50%. So not so good. ChargePoint here, man, they haven't done the reverse stock split yet. And so just because they like the non-compliance would mean that they probably have 90 days to do a reverse split. And in the meantime, let's look over at some unusual whales data. This is the call that I'm in. I'm definitely going to lose money on this. Whatever. It's like $150, so it's not a big deal. But what I wanted to do is expand this. This does look a little bit more bullish, but the bullish nature is net call premium increase of 27,000 versus net put premium decreasing by 27,000. So it's really not that much money. Bear bull slider, more on the bullish side, so this may be a good sign, but if we look at the data over the past 30 days, this doesn't really stand out. So take it with a grain of salt. If I do look over at the Greeks, we can see that the max pain for Friday the 21st was $1.50. It closed well below it. Then it's $1 for the next 4 weeks, still below it. And then it gets down to 50 cents. So what I could see happening, this is March 28th, max pain is 50 cents. Also April 4th, 50 cents. If they, yeah, I mean, this is what I'm hoping this doodle happens. But, gotta mark the low here. 66.2 cents. That is going to be a red line in the sand. If we put in a lower low, I think it's going to be going lower. Earnings. And actually, let's go over to the ChargePoint website to see investor relations. And so let's just see stock information news. Let's click over to the news. ChargePoint receives notice of non-compliance with New York Stock Exchange trading share price listing rule. And so let's look at that document. And I wish I could off-center this. I think I can by doing it like this. So yeah, we can read this together a little bit. So ChargePoint receives notice of non-compliance with New York Stock Exchange trading share price listing. And so thanks for letting me know about this. This was a notice that was released on the 21st on Friday. I was not aware of this. It is good to be keeping this in mind. And so notice has no immediate impact on listing or trading of ChargePoint common stock. So good to take note of that. I believe that we'll have 90 days before we have to do a reverse split or something like that, or get the stock above $1. And so ChargePoint, a leading provider of networked solutions for electric vehicles, announced today that it was notified by the New York Stock Exchange on February 19th that it is not in compliance with section whatever of the New York Stock Exchange listed company manual because the average closing price of the company's common stock was less than $1 over a consecutive 30 trading day period. So I believe that we'll have 90 days to either get it back above $1 a share or to have a reverse split so it is above $1 a share. And maybe this will relate to what happens with the earnings. Maybe there will be a vote about whether or not to have a reverse split. I think it would be good to have a reverse split in all honesty. But we'll look back at the chart to see if ChargePoint has had one in the past. But I think kind of like with what happened with Luminar, it's kind of like a hazing that, there's new stock on the block. Gotta bring that stock price down to $1 a share or lower so they get forced into having a reverse split. And then if they pass that, then they can flourish. And so anyways, continuing on, which is a minimum average closing price required to maintain continued listing on the New York Stock Exchange. So the notice is a notice of deficiency, not delisting, and does not currently affect the listing or trading of the company's common stock on the New York Stock Exchange. And so the company plans to notify the New York Stock Exchange by March 5th that it intends to curb the average closing price deficiency to return to compliance with the New York Stock Exchange's continued listing standards. And so the company can regain compliance at any time within the 6-month period. So 6-month period following receipt of New York Stock Exchange's notice of the last trading day of any calendar month. Okay, so this is words. Okay, so the company can regain compliance at any time within the 6-month period following receipt of the New York Stock Exchange's notice. And so the notice notified by the New York Stock Exchange on February 19th. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. 6-month period following receipt of the New York Stock Exchange's notice if on the last trading day of any calendar month during the cure period, the company has a closing share price of at least $1 a share, an average closing price of at least $1 a share over the 30-day trading period ending on the last day of that month. Okay, so the notice was on February 19th, And so if we go 6 months out, that would be so February, March, April, May, June, July, August 19th. So let's put a marker on August 19th. Do a vertical line. Vertical line. August 19th, right there. Okay, and so I'm going to make that red. And so that's the amount of time that we have to regain compliance. And so what I think will probably happen is there will be effort to get the stock price above $1 a share. And what I imagine is that's probably, this is going to hurt to get out, to get people to bag hold up here, to oh, it's above $1, it's going to continue up to like $2.50 or whatever, I've talked about before. It's above $1, now it's going to squeeze. But what I see happening with this is that maybe we get, something like this, getting above $1, but then it goes lower. And then, by the end of March, average price is maybe above $1. But then by the end of April, maybe it closes below $1, tries to get back above, but can't. Maybe there's a little bit of a move over here to around $1, but then it fades lower. And it's just, not happening. And it just keeps fading. And then we have to have a reverse split by this date. And so I would imagine that maybe 3 months from now or 3 months from that date. So let's see. Earnings are coming up on the 4th. So let's see, March, April, May, June. So let's see, by June 4th, right here, I think that there will probably be an announcement for during the next earnings call that there will be a reverse split or something like that. So I feel like basically, it's time up here to either accept losses, to trim, or to take profits above $1. I think that this is going to fade lower. They will need to have a reverse split. And then like what happened with Luminar, following their reverse split, it will continue even lower. So yeah, I think that I'm going to make this a red line. I don't think that what we're seeing is good. And we get a move up to here. Let's just draw Fibonacci up there just to kind of imagine what could happen. That's like breaking below the 50%, and then maybe there's something around the 618 bounce. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is one that I've been thinking I probably want a GTFO at some point. Cut losses at some point. It's just too speculative. So yeah, I mean, that's a bummer, but yeah. And so, okay, so I have been on for an hour and almost 40 minutes. I'll try to go over some more of the requests. So I got Azul from Nameless. I do have that up here. And then following that, Disclosure Crypto, Gari Network, I'll definitely look over there. And then Ricardo's catching up with Nameless. Yeah, and Ricardo and all of you guys, it's always good to have you back, whether it's you can't do this every week or, with the holidays and stuff, it's kind of tough to know. If there is a holiday on a Monday, I'll do ticker requests live that Monday, not on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, with scheduling family, friends, whatnot, all that, it's, I totally understand if you guys can't come to every week or can only do once a month or every quarter, no big deal. I'll still be doing this. And then I see that Level Up Legends, hi, if you have time, could you check Grab? I'll definitely do that. There's been a lot of hype on that as far as I can recall. That's one that I've just ignored because I've got too many other plays that I can't get distracted by too much. And yeah, so I will go over I'll do Gari real quick. Coming over to, let's see. I guess I stopped reading this, but I think we got the gist of it, that I don't think that this is good for ChargePoint. And I think that, like, man, I think that what I want to do is just like not FOMO, but like load. So I get my average to around $1, and then when it gets up there, break even, exit. Because I think it will go up to $1, but I mean, I just don't think it's going to be long lived. Anyways, coming over here, looking at natural gas. Don't want to do that. I want to look at Gari Network. Okay, so Gari Network. I'm going to do it from Spot Crypto. Ooh, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that we're going to be entering an alt season pretty soon. I have a bias in that sense. But if we do draw some trend lines just from like the lows over here, maybe it's getting near a bottom. So what I could see happening with this is, oh man, I'm so not good at TradingView type stuff. So this brush, I mean, maybe it does a little bit. I need to make that thicker. I can't make it thicker. Maybe highlighter. Oh no, I can do. Don't want to do it like this. Oh yeah, it's probably tougher to see. I'll do brush. I just want to make the line thicker. Okay, yeah, so maybe this is what I need to do. I need to make that line thicker. Okay, so. Okay, so now going back to the brush, maybe I could, dang it, I keep doing that. I need to hold the click. You know, maybe I could do this and then go like that. But it could also break lower. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going to enter into alt season very soon. Look at, you know, the last time we were in the, so the RSI currently is at 2034. You can see the number right here, 2034. Over here, it was 1278, so it could definitely go lower, but we do see higher lows in the RSI, and potentially it's forming a bottom here. And with that, we see lower lows. And so if we look at the lower low aspect of this, with the higher lows in the RSI, I don't know if I can draw trend lines on the RSI. But yeah, those are higher lows. These are lower lows. And higher lows in the stock price, lower lows in the RSI. That's bullish divergence. Is that bullish or hidden? Oh, crap. Lower low, higher. Sorry. Lower lows. Okay, lower lows. Bullish divergence, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, what I could see happening, I mean, this is just my bias, that got to shake out anybody. So I think that we might see a dip. Be ready for that. And then, I'm not used to drawing arrows in TradingView. But yeah, I mean, I think that something like that could happen. I think that we'll be seeing an alt season at some point. But if the coin's really speculative, I don't really know much about Gari Network other than, you know, when you request it. Those can go down a lot though. So, but I think that we'll be seeing an alt season between May and December of this year. And so that's kind of what I'm counting on. But I don't have any Gari network. Oops. But yeah, so I mean, hopefully that's helpful. I'm probably going to go through stuff a little bit quicker now. I went through Gari. I'll do Azul real quick. I'm going to clean this up because it's just too much stuff. Although that's kind of interesting. But, you know, I can just draw a double bottom. Or, no, higher lows. So we got horizontal line here. Don't want to go lower than this low from February 12th, which was at a price of $1.73.5. Got that mark there. Do not want to go lower than that red line in the sand. We do happen to be seeing some higher lows. So that's good. I think that it could be finding support, but earnings is coming up on the 24th, so tomorrow. So a little bit risky there. What does this look like? Let's say if I don't know if I can invert the axis. Can I? No. Let's look over in TradingView because actually this might be logarithmic. So maybe I want to look at this regular. So yeah. I wonder if I was looking at natural gas in the log scale. Natural gas. Maybe I was. I probably was. Because if I flip this over to log, that's a much better line there. That actually looks really nice. Maybe I should just be doing this stuff in the on the log scale. But yeah, if I flip this over to regular, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, what was I going to do over here? Azul. Yeah, let's look up Azul. Azul. New York Stock Exchange. So hopefully this is it. All right. So let's see. I'm just going to draw that same kind of uptrend here. And then I'm just going to do something magic. Over here, I'm going to invert the scale. All right, and then now I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at Fastly. And I'm just going to throw this up here. What is this? Cup and handle. Got a fake out, break down, but it ultimately went higher. This is a bullish pattern. What do you see here? A cup and handle. All right, now let's switch back over. What do we see here? A cup and handle. So I think that this is likely to do something like this. All right, so I think that this looks bullish. I inverted the scale, so I'm going to invert it back. I think this looks bearish. I don't think it looks very good. Dang it. Dang it, I need to delete all of these. So I don't think Azul looks good because of this, but this could also fail. You know, it could, if it gets some momentum behind it, it could maybe do something like this. Pull back to, you know, where there's this the top here, also this consolidation here, acting as support here before going higher. So, I mean, I could see that happening. But if it breaks below and then gets a retest, that's pretty bearish. So that's kind of what I see with Azul. Got about 10 minutes left before I got to be in bed. And so I will, Callie, I probably won't be able to get to your request of RXRX, but maybe I can do it real quick. I was just going to go over grab. I guess I have looked at this crazy a while ago. But I was wrong. It went a lot higher. So earnings were on the 20th on Thursday. It's still holding up. Still putting in higher lows. So, you know, I'd want it to be holding like this uptrend. So it could go a little bit lower. Looks like it's testing like the 50 and 21-day moving averages around like 480. 200-day moving averages around $4. So, I mean, I could see it pull back to around there if I do a Fibonacci retracement from the low of around 298. I'm not going to get exact here, but that golden pocket looks like it's right around that 200-day moving average, around $4. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did pull back, although we can see we do have lower highs here. We do have lower highs in the RSI, so that's not bearish divergence. We do have higher lows being formed. We do have higher lows being formed, so there's no bullish divergence. If we look over at the options data just real quick, I want to get out of this, and actually I think I wanted to keep an eye on that contract, this one. So I am going to, let's see, how do I add this? Add to watch list right here, and I will add it to the options theses list. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think that's a good one to keep an eye on, but I'm just going to escape this and type in grab. Oops, not grab N, grab just general. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pick this contract because I want to be able to look at the data here. Might be a more efficient way for me to get to this, but I just don't really know because I'm still learning unusual whales, or at least learning how to be smooth with it. One thing that we can see here is that the majority is on the bullish side, 49%. We see the net call premium being positive, whereas net put premium in red being negative, but not that negative. And so we see the net call premium being up about $755,000 versus net put premium being down about $70,000. So that's, generally more bullish. If we look at the past 30 days, we saw the big moves over here. Lots of call buying here, move here. This was call buying on the 12th of February. Net put premium increased by nearly $16 million, about $15.88 million. And then following this pullback, net call premium increased by $6.75 million. So there could most definitely be another move. It'd be good to look at the options data for the 12th to see if those contracts are still holding. If they're not, I don't have the time to look into that right now, just because I got work tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're up a bunch, if I was up a bunch, let's say, I would trim, I would take some profits, I would maybe leave some runners to see what happens. But yeah, I would not want to be diamond handing a huge position because it's getting kind of risky up here. And then RXRX, I'll look at that real quick, and then I'm GTFOing this stream. This 928 down 10% on Friday. Got a pretty nice pop. From the lows over here. I think that there's some pretty nice support. And I'm actually going to get a little technical with this. And I'm going to draw a ray so I get the exact pivot points. 454, and then over here. Actually, I'm not going to do it too exact. But, that I can adjust that later if I need to. But I feel like that's probably a notable level that will likely be returned to. Following this big move to the upside, we could do a Fibonacci extension to see where it may be going and if it's gone to one of those levels. 100% is up here, so maybe there's still potential for it to run. But, with it being up here and volume starting to diminish as it does go higher, that doesn't seem too great. There's this gap here. Moving average is all down here. Might want to come down to 750, maybe 8. Return to those moving averages. But what we can do following this, pullback here, we can do a retracement just from over here, from that low of 560 up to the high of 1236. And so from that, we can just add some proportions. I'm going to add the 786. That's around $7. Golden pocket is right around 8. And we're currently around that 50%, so I'm just going to remove that. I mean, it doesn't seem too strong right here, coming down 10%. So I would look for it to come down to around 8, if not 750. But yeah, I mean, I think that this move's kind of done. I think it needs to cool off a little bit. And, just thinking about like this gap as, being another level to consider. So the closing price on the 13th was 850. The high was 851. So I'm just going to adjust that level to be the closing price. Make that a dashed line gap there and lock that into place. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like there are a lot of levels to the downside here. Also got some tops over here and over here. Could be a lot of support around $8. So I feel like there's potential for further downside of anywhere between 8 or 9% all the way down to like 24%. So I just be prepared for that. I think that could be happening. Maybe it could be doing something, like bounce from there, but then get rejected from those prior high, the little gap up level, and then it come down here and then maybe do something like that, form an inverse head and shoulders before breaking out. I'd probably have a retest here. But anyways, hopefully that's helpful. As usual, I see one person's here, I believe, been streaming for almost 2 hours and I need to get to bed. So I am going to throw this up here because, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, please make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below in the live chat, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more live streams like this. Ticker Request Live every Sunday and or Monday before the market opens at the start of the week. 9 p.m. Eastern, and also pre-market prep's going to be trying to do those whether I'm working or not, recording them before I go to work, posting a video, or streaming them before the market opens. So yeah, with all that being said, thanks for hanging out, and I will see